From ZBox, Jason Forbes.
Hey everybody, my name is Jason Forbes. I head up ZBox USA, and really what I wanted to do today was to talk less about ZBox and more about the challenges and the opportunities of the second screen space. I think most of you guys heard Jesse and team describing earlier the importance of a multiplier effect. And I think one of the biggest challenges that everyone in the space right now is facing is ultimately how do you change or tweak consumer behavior? And we've probably interviewed and surveyed more than 30,000 US consumers. And one of the biggest pieces of insight from that is it's exceptionally difficult to evolve consumer behavior. It takes a disproportionately powerful alternative for consumers to change their behavior. You know, we've got great examples like what Apple has done in terms of iPhone, iPad, etc. But the reality is for the vast majority of consumers, they're very happy with what they're doing while watching TV. You know, you've heard before that 80% of US consumers, who have a smartphone or a tablet are using that device while watching TV. But the reality is that the vast majority of that activity has got little to do with live TV. And so the challenge for all of the major TV networks, for ZBox and many of our peers in this space, is to create a sufficiently compelling alternative to drive focus back towards live television. And that's actually a really high bar. You know, this incumbency of what consumers are already doing is difficult to overcome. And that kind of talks to this disproportionate effect I described a second ago. You guys may have heard Reed Hastings recently talked about these moments of truth. And ZBox takes those moments of truth very seriously, meaning that when each of us goes home today and we're watching TV this evening, we've an option. Do we watch live TV or time-shifted TV? When we go to live TV, what network do we decide to watch? When we're watching that network, what are we doing with our second screen device? Are we firing up ZBox? Are we firing up a vertical app? Are we firing up Twitter? And those moments of truth actually come down to very, very small gradations that determine whether a consumer will do one thing or another. So the whole vision of ZBox is to be less about social TV and really to understand how there can be a multiplier effect, meaning that if we can actually create a set of activities or a set of experiences within ZBox that are sufficiently compelling, then those moments of truth help reinforce this great activity that is live television. So a few examples here. You can see this across from left to right. You know, for ZBox, social TV is one critical part of what we do. But as I mentioned, it's just one pillar. For many consumers, social TV is not that important. You know, even for people, and particularly the under 35s, who care massively about discussion forums, live viewing parties, chatting with their friends while watching TV, many times they don't want to do those things. So the premise of ZBox is to bring all of these diverse and often siloed activities into one holistic app. And the app is a free app to download on any device, iPad, iPhone, on your tablet, Android, smartphone, PC, laptop, or other. So first of all, one obstacle is, well, it doesn't work on my device. ZBox works on all devices, and I think that that's a challenge that not just ZBox, but many players in the space are grappling. Make it available everywhere. But the other key difference with ZBox is it's not just about social TV. On top of social, you guys may know Andy Liu from Buddy TV. The average US consumer spends 8 minutes looking for what to watch on TV. That's a very large number. And so a second key piece of ZBox, you can see there, is all around discovery, giving consumers simple and easy ways to find the shows that they love or shows like the shows that they love. The third key piece is about interactivity. And this really comes down to one of the things that we believe will make ZBox unique. You know, we have a relationship with NBCU, they're a part owner. Viacom is also a part owner, as is Comcast. And we believe that what that gives us is an opportunity to provide unique proprietary content experiences that consumers can't get anywhere else. Because at the end of the day, for that disproportionate effect, to convince consumers for why they want to fire up ZBox at the expense of other options, if we can offer uniquely rich ways to have two-way participation. So when I'm watching The Voice, for example, what can I do in terms of predicting or anticipating what will happen next? Can I vote? Can I see what my friends are doing and actually shape the outcome of the show? Those things become very, very attractive. On the top right over there, you've also got commerce, and I'll spend a bit more time talking about that in just a second, but the opportunity to purchase what you see on screen, either during the advertising or during the actual show itself, is a fourth key pillar. And finally, is all about information. 30% of US consumers want to find out more about what they're watching on the show. So why have them go to IMDb or to Google or other when we can present that information to them while they're watching the live TV with ZBox fired up on their device? So those are the 5 key pillars, which again reinforces the premise of a multiplier effect. If social isn't enough, give me everything that I want in one unified app. So every time I watch TV, we're reinforcing this activity so it becomes a behavior and in due course a habit. So 3 other differentiators. We've got global backing. We've got a kind of a large global team as well, about 120 people. But critically, ZBox works across all of TV. There's a phrase we have called the app graveyard, meaning that if any of you have a smartphone, I guarantee you've got dozens of apps that you never use. The premise of ZBox is, unlike a show-specific app or a network-specific app, the challenge with those is once you change the channel, the app is redundant. It doesn't work anymore. ZBox works across 150 different networks, second by second on every single show, meaning that no matter where you go as a consumer, you've got this great, rich, engaging experience. So this is an example from The Voice, which I'll show you now in just a second.
Play The Voice play-along game at home. Vote for your favorite artists, get exclusive backstage access, and interact with other fans while you watch tonight's show. Join The Voice on the free ZBox app at zbox.com.
Example of interactivity or enhanced content, giving consumers a unique ZBox experience around The Voice that they can't get anywhere else. We've enriched more than 400 shows across NBCU, HBO and Viacom, meaning that consumers can get something there that they can't get elsewhere. Again, tying back to that moment of truth when they make that decision, what app or whether they're going to fire up an app. And we kind of hope that with that enhanced content, the ways to shape the outcome of the show, you're raising that multiplier effect so it becomes more and more compelling over time. So the kind of key pieces, I'll bring you through this very quickly for those who haven't seen it. When you fire it up, you've actually got a discovery page. So, and again, for anybody, whether it's ZBox or other, finding ways to discover content, what your friends are watching, what the stars are watching, what's most popular on ZBox right now, what's buzzing the most on Twitter. Again, just simple ways to discover great new content. Once I've decided to watch a show like The Voice, for example, you can see a lot of interactivity baked in. Social on the left-hand side in terms of kind of what I can find out more about clickable cast and crew. I have my Twitter stream in the middle that I can partition. And on the right-hand side, a set of interactive games specific to that show. So the whole premise is give consumers a uniquely tailored experience based on what's going on live TV second by second. And at the end of this month or shortly after, we'll offer time-shifted experiences as well. This is another example for the Golden Globes. Again, kind of an interactive top right there. You can actually kind of predict what's going to happen during the show. And you can just see simple and easy ways for consumers to have a great experience while watching TV. This is kind of what we're building at now, which is around kind of profiles, allowing consumers to actually announce who they are in ZBox, and with that profile, actually find out other people who are like them. And so from a social perspective, you're actually meeting other people with similar TV affinities to your own. So therefore, you can actually discover great new content in the context of meeting new people from a social perspective. This is an example here for Game of Thrones. You know, one of the things that we've built out for our programmer partners is a rich kind of back end so that anybody from any partner can actually enrich their shows in a matter of hours. And this is one big differentiator. Is one of the big challenges for TV networks is it often takes weeks or months to build out a second screen experience. Because we've built out this back end ecosystem, if you will, programmers in a matter of hours can take advantage of a range of different widgets or experiences and repurpose them in the context of ZBox for any of their shows. You can see some of those examples there across things like voting, commentary, sharing, etc. So a rich portfolio allowing for programmers to much more rapidly enable a second screen experience for their target audiences. And the last piece I wanted to talk about was around kind of advertising. What we've done is we've combined the power of TV with the power of the internet, meaning that when you watch live TV, ZBox actually knows in a matter of seconds what ad you're watching and can actually fire a complementary experience on ZBox that offers a direct path to engagement. And I'll show you an example of that right now. This is 2 key products. One is what we call Spot Sync, so it actually knows what you're watching from an advertising perspective. And on the right-hand side there, the opportunity for advertisers to integrate within the show experience itself. Next example is from the Super Bowl. So what you're going to see is actually, during the Super Bowl itself, an ad will come up for the Fast and Furious 6. ZBox recognizes this, and we believe ourselves and others are going to quickly take advantage of the fact that on the second screen, you've got a fantastic way to allow consumers, while watching advertising, to not go to the bathroom, to not pick their nose. Instead, what they're doing is watching live TV. Here we go.
Go Ravens.
Joe, where'd you go?
Last week, a team of highly coordinated drivers took down a military convoy.
every single major ad agency, and they really believe that this is one of the game changers, allowing for advertisers who are spending tens of millions of dollars on TV advertising to complement that with a second screen experience that allows consumers in this case to literally see a trailer for the movie and enter their email address to pre-book tickets. And these paths to engagement on the second screen from a revenue perspective are what ourselves, Vigil, GetClear are thinking about right now for ultimately how do you drive incremental dollars in the context of second screen. And the biggest takeaway ultimately is this, is for those consumers who have those moments of truth, if you could create an experience that ultimately allows you to make the decision to fire up one app that allows you to do it all, that from an engagement perspective, while you're watching the show or watching the ad, you choose to continue to watch that show or watch the ad and engage more deeply instead of an alternative behavior, that's where the multiplier effect will kick in, and that's what we believe is the secret sauce of ZBox and hopefully the space as a whole. Thank you very much.
Joining Jason, here's Mike Cruz.
That would be me. So, Jason, the big question that I have for you, that was great, by the way, is it seems as though there's an enamorment amongst a lot of developers, and we're going to show the results of our TVnext hack in just a little bit, with a second screen. And personally, if there is yet another second screen app that comes out, I'm skeptical. I'm very skeptical of how can a second screen app be successful when there's so many of them out there and people are really turning to Twitter because of its simplicity.
Yeah, look, I think it ties back to these moments of truth. The reality right now is that Twitter has got a great product, and for us, I think as we look at Twitter, the opportunity really is what Twitter offers right now is depth. Okay, it's a fantastic way to announce that you're watching a show. But actually, if you work with celebrities and kind of talk about kind of how they can use Twitter, one of the challenges is how deep can you go with Twitter? If I want to invite specific people to a discussion forum or a live viewing party, there's limited ways right now. And so as we look at Twitter, we think it's a great kind of component of what we want to do, which is to go deeper in the conversation. And so the outcome, therefore, is finding experiences that consumers value. And if we can actually identify a deeper way to engage by allowing a celebrity or kind of a specific talent from a show to take advantage of richer engagement mechanisms with ZBox, we've got the right answer.
You mentioned Comcast and Viacom making investments in ZBox. I don't know what the terms are of them.
Favorable.
But to what degree are they happy customers?
Very, very happy. At the end of the day, with NBCU, you've got advertisers spending hundreds of millions of dollars. And what NBCU, they used to have their own network-specific app called NBC Live, and they decided in the end that we can continue with that, as many networks are doing, not saying that's wrong, or ultimately we can take advantage of a ZBox where there's 120 developers literally every 2 weeks banging out a new version of the product. And they made the decision to say, look, we can do way, way more across far more shows, both from a breadth and from a depth perspective with ZBox. And so they had their digital showcase, their upfronts last Wednesday, and ZBox was a critical part of what Linda Yaccarino and team kind of outlined as their vision, because they truly believe that from an ad sales perspective, they can drive happier advertisers with greater consumer engagement with ZBox.
And I'm going to take one question from Twitter. It's from Chris from BU. He said, I'm surprised we haven't talked about East Coast versus West Coast viewing. How do you allow each to share over social media without the fear of spoilers?
Yeah, it's a great one. East Coast and West Coast is like tier 1. Tier 2 is time shifted. At the end of the day, how can you have a ZBox experience when people watch the show 4 hours or 4 days ago? So we're actually looking to time sync both East Coast and West Coast, but also Twitter as well. So when you log in, it will actually it will choreograph the tweets based on where you are at the show. So during the live experience at 17 minutes, if this is the Twitter flow, you can actually replicate that within ZBox. That's happening in the next few weeks.
Let's see where all this goes, Jason. Thanks for being part of TVnext. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.